of course, I don't pay attention to Fortnite. I don't pay attention to free-to-play games. I don't pay attention to Epic. I don't pay attention to PC gaming. But it is interesting to me, now that I've actually looked at the numbers, seen like a little bit of the door scores online, seen like a little bit of what's happened, like that Fortnite has fallen off. Like it's not as popular as it used to be. People have moved on to other games. It is no longer a thing. It is no longer the cash cow fueling Epic, fueling the Epic Game Store, giving Tim Sweeney the mindset that he can take on Google, that he can take on Apple, that he can take on Valve. The biggest meme game of the last decade, Fortnite, after, about half a decade of relevancy. I don't remember when this thing launched, but like, after several years of relevancy of being the game that everyone wanted to be, has completely fallen off, and it is never coming back. And I think in another 5 years, nobody's even going to remember it existed. Like that is the nature of the meme game, the nature of these garbage, free to play, like nonsensical things that just kind of like pop out of nowhere and fizzle out just as quickly, right? Fortnite was a joke. It was never good, never entertaining, never anything I wanted to hear about or cared for at all. It was stupid, right? When I compare it to like real gaming phenomenons, like what we grew up with like Pokemania and like, Splatoon and stuff like that. When I compare it to stuff that actually generates like passion, interesting design choices, real evolution, something with like real, actual, recognizable video game characters, Fortnite just came off like a complete joke, right? Fortnite was always going to, in the end, kneel to Nintendo fans and like the Nintendo demographic. Like one game cannot carry an entire ecosystem. And I think the failure of Fortnite, right? The failure of Epic really just goes to show you that like even like this phenomenal like big like huge thing that like everyone is playing, right? Something that can like push an entire storefront, that can like do this, like put Epic, like make Epic a big name, like make a, try to put like make the Epic Game Store a thing that can compete with Steam. Like it just goes to show you that even something like Fortnite, something at that level, something that like is the biggest thing ever at the time, it cannot make the Epic Game Store viable, right? Like outside of Valve, outside of a few established storefronts, outside of like all of that, like Fortnite in all of its glory, in its heyday, could not make a PC game store viable, right? Fortnite could not make it happen. And I think that goes to show you just how small the market for like the Epic for PC gaming actually is, right? This is something that people don't talk about when it comes to PC gaming, how like Nintendo is a single conglomerate that like gets a cut off of everything that that like sells on Nintendo hardware, right? It's why they're so big. PC gaming in general, it's divided between a lot of different like factions of like companies that are trying to like have their own slice. Like anybody who says that PC gaming is a monolith doesn't understand how it works. You have like studios, you have like the launchers, you have like the storefronts, you have like these competitors, right? Like Valve, the only one that's in any way relevant is fairly successful for what it is, but eventually it is going to collapse. Eventually it is going to die. And it is entirely going to be due to mismanagement after Gabe Newell retires or dies, right? Like without Gabe and like his legacy, without the image of like Valve, like the PC gaming community is just going to collapse. Like Valve is just not going to be able to maintain its legacy. It isn't going to be able to remain competitive against the alternative storefronts. And as a result of that, they're all going to become increasingly unprofitable. There's going to become more and more of an issue, and companies are going to be forced to return to where they belong. Nintendo gaming, Nintendo console things, right? Piracy is going to be impractical. Nobody's going to want to pirate games because of Nintendo Switch Online is going to have every Nintendo game ever on it. I think eventually it'll expand to like encompassing like PlayStation, Sega, and Xbox consoles as well, right? Like there will just not be an audience for PC gaming because everyone is going to be playing on Nintendo Switch. Fortnite, the biggest thing on mobile and PC, like the biggest thing ever, couldn't make Epic viable, right? Valve is never, ever going to put out anything on the level of Fortnite. And if you think about it for a second, if you utilize your pea-sized brain that you like in that like the pea-sized cortex, right? The PC, right? Your PC brain. If you can think about it for even a fraction of a second, bone deep, that like all of PC gaming, every company, every manufacturer, every every developer, every storefront, everyone on the app store, like they could all like team up. They could all like create like a super a Justice League of like anti-Nintendo, like a league, right? The Justice League of anti-Nintendo, right? The anti-Nintendo league. Like they could make their like superhero team up of like every developer, every notable name in the industry, like everyone in the Western gaming sphere. They could all come together in one giant orgy of Nintendo hating goodness, and they are still going to lose to Nintendo Switch. Like there is nothing that anyone can do to stop what's coming, right? If Fortnite couldn't do it, right? If the biggest name in gaming couldn't do it, what makes you think that Half-Life 3 will, right? Like we saw what happened with Shenmue 3 and Kingdom Hearts 3 and The Last Guardian. These legendary games from these legendary studios, from these legendary creators that were supposed to head up the charge, right? The anti-Nintendo, like these were the games that you were like excited about when it comes to like third-party developers. These were the games you waited 20 years for. Like, oh man, it's taking so long because this game is gonna be a masterpiece. Like, oh man, it's gonna be so amazing with this game that comes out. Like, Nintendo won't be able to compete. And what happens? Every year, Nintendo puts out masterpiece after masterpiece after masterpiece. We went from Breath of the Wild to Mario Odyssey to Splatoon 2 to Splatoon 3 to Tears of the Kingdom to all of this stuff, right? Pokemon Legends Arceus, like all of this stuff in a matter of years, right? While you were playing Fortnite, right, in the past 7 years, how long has it been relevant? When you were playing Fortnite, right? I was playing real games. I was having real variety. I was having like a range of like crazy experiences from like all these different developers, all these different genres. Whether it was like 13 Sentinels, like incredible sci-fi plot, to like Live Alive's multi-generational, like legendary JRPG like creativity. Like whether it was like Breath of the Wild's like open world survivability, or like Xenoblade Chronicles 3's meta narrative. Like I was having real gaming experiences, right? Like I wasn't just watching Ninja play Fortnite for 40 hours a day and trying to convince myself that like, oh man, this is what gaming is all about, streaming on Twitch and making money. I never thought that, because I'm a real gamer, right? You, like the Fortnite fans, like the people who grew up playing like absolute crap, who won't even remember Fortnite exists by the time you hit middle school, right? Like you grew up playing absolute garbage, right? Maybe you played a good Nintendo game every now and then. Maybe you like even are a Nintendo fan, but like 5 years from now, when you look back on like all the great video games you played, like you're not going to be thinking about Fortnite. You're not going to be thinking about this fad in gaming. You're going to be thinking about Mario and Zelda and Pokemon, Splatoon, Animal Crossing, better games than anything you ever had with Fortnite, right? No mobile game, no PC game, nothing will ever be able to compete with the experience that gamers have when they play Nintendo products. Nintendo is, always has been, and always will be the best in gaming.